What's up guys, welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about the classic bodybuilding, and today is going to be a chest workout. We are a little over 4 weeks away from the Mr. Olympia. Every time I say that, it just feels incredible, guys. I'm going there. So winning Poland has qualified me for that contest. Anyway, today's a chest workout, and it's the second chest workout since the competition. So I'm slowly ramping up the weights again. As you can see, I have about 150 kilos on the bar right now. So I'm going to do my first working set on this slight incline Smith machine bench press. I already did my warm-up sets, so a couple of reps with the bar, then adding one plate every single time, and then reducing the reps as I go up higher in weight, so I don't waste any energy for this working set. But anyway, let's get started on the first working set. I'm going to be aiming for 8 to 12 reps. We'll see. Not sure where my strength is at, but that's what bodybuilding is all about. Progress in every single aspect. Anyway, let's go. Okay, so let's get started with the first working set. As I mentioned, the first working set is usually the heaviest set, because then you still have all your power left, and you want to be able to push as much weight as you can within that 8 to 12 rep range, so you actually stimulate the muscle to the max to keep the muscle mass intact. Because remember, even though my diet has a bit more carbs now, I'm still in a caloric deficit, because normally I would be at least 1,000 calories higher for maintenance levels in the off season, for example. So whenever you are in a caloric deficit, whenever you are cutting, make sure to try and maintain your strength on as many compound movements as you can. And when you notice your strength is decreasing on some movements, you might actually lower the volume on the accessory work and keep the volume the same on the main movements that feel the best, that you get the best connection with. And when you remain strong there, you're rest assured you will keep as much muscle as possible, if not all of your muscles. And for certain individuals who are more serious about their competitions and contest prep, may even grow into the show, which is always a possibility using certain things, of course. Okay guys, it's time for the second movement of the day. Already did the warm-ups for it, and it's going to be a dumbbell press, also incline. The pump is starting to come already, because the carbs I'm taking in is quite, well, it's not a lot, but it's more than 0 carbs I did before. And especially also the intra-workout carb surge by Jacked Factory helps driving those carbs to the muscle cells, along with water and a bit of Himalayan pink salt for that maximum hydration of the muscle cell, which gives you that nice pump. But anyway, let's do the first working set. Okay, so this one, adjust the incline dumbbell press, and keep in mind both the benches I just used are at the slightest incline they can possibly go, because the more of an incline you use, the more front delt will be involved, and I just want a slightly different angle compared to the flat bench to actually target the upper chest and not the front delts, because you only need a very slight incline to hit the chest in a different way. Now this is a dumbbell press. I haven't done this in quite a while to reduce fatigue, because I did Portugal, then I did Poland, and after a while, after doing all of those shows, and you're not changing your diet, you're only going lower and lower, you will build up some fatigue in the muscles and the system in general. And then doing free weights becomes more and more taxing on the system without it bringing you more benefit of isolating the muscle you want to work. So I did mostly chest press, incline presses, dips, machine dips, for example. But this time I start implementing the dumbbell press again until we reach the very end of the contest prep. Maybe I'll keep it in there, because the extra carbs do really help, and keeping your strength on a basic movement like this, as I mentioned, will keep muscle volume intact. Right guys, the next movement after the dumbbell press, which you did 2 working sets on, we're going to do the chest press, which is another great movement, another pressing movement. So the first 2 are incline movements, and this is just a straight chest press, but this also allows you to really focus on the stretch and the contraction, because with the dumbbells, when you go all the way up, the tension isn't as much on your chest anymore as it is on the joints, and we want to have all the tension on the chest at least during one exercise, one heavy exercise as well. So let's get started with the first working set on the chest press. So this is one of those movements that pretty much every single gym has. So I recommend this when you are in a cutting phase or even in the off season, doesn't really matter. As long as you have a great mind-muscle connection with this exercise, and it has to be a chest press that does keep the tension on the chest. It's simply a great way to very safely overload the chest with as much weight as possible. As you can see behind me, the stacks of weight there is pretty much maximum, and those blue and red plates are by ATX, and those are powerlifting plates, very thin, and you can see at the very left side there is the same weight as the blue one. That's a bumper plate, which is literally 4 times as wide, which is why I love those thin plates, to be able to load enough weights. Okay guys, so first working set done. Now it's time for the second one. As you guys know, normally the second working set is 15 to 20 reps, but this time we're going to use an intensity technique instead of the regular second working set. So we will go to failure, but not just once, but multiple times. It's going to be a rest, pause, set. So you basically go to failure once, then rest for a couple of seconds, go to failure again, rest again, and then go to failure for a third time. And that is obviously more intense. It causes more failure reps, more hard reps compared to just one working set. And that's what I will slowly keep implementing towards the Olympia to elicit more caloric demand in the body and to drive more blood in the muscle, etc. So let's go. One other very big benefit about the chest press and just a machine like this, where you don't have the risk of injuring yourself or imbalancing the weight or needing a spotter, is that you can use intensity techniques. And this intensity technique is called a rest pause set. So it's not rest reps. So sometimes you do a rest pause at the bottom, for example, for 2 seconds and then go back up. This is a rest pause set, and that means you go to failure once. As you can see here, I'm using this a lighter weight, because in working set number 2 you always use a lighter weight to be able to go a bit further compared to the first set. Really go all out until you can't do one complete rep anymore that is clean, because you don't want to force anything during a rest pause set. And then you rest 10 to maximum 15 seconds. What I like to do is simply take 10 large breaths, and that's in between 10 to 15 seconds, and then you go for the rest pause set number 2, and then you go to failure again, as you can see. But because of the fatigue, especially during a caloric deficit, you simply don't have the capability of recovering as quickly. But that doesn't matter, because a rest pause set gives you more difficult reps, which is the essence of an intensity technique, because I already went to failure and then I could have stopped, but I would keep going twice, and every time that I keep going, all of those reps pretty much are difficult reps, because any set that is within 5 reps of failure will stimulate the muscle enough for growth, and the closer you get to failure, the more stimulant you get for muscle growth, but also the more fatigue. So there has to be a balance. Alright guys, the next movement is going to be an isolation one to isolate the chest. As you can see, these striations are here. They're more visible now compared to the morning, for example, because now the muscle is full, it pushes against the skin, and the water is inside the muscle, and you're sweating a little bit, so it's underneath the skin, and then you can see the actual definition. That's why carb loading is very important before a show. But anyway, let's do the cable flies to finish off the chest. Whenever you have a nice pump and you actually have the freedom to take off your tank top, I would suggest you do so, especially during contest prep. It's always nice to be able to record yourself and see exactly what is going on. As I mentioned quite often on this channel, it's important to look at your physique when it's fully pumped up, to know what your potential is on stage, because when you're pumped up, as I just mentioned, you lose some water under the skin because you're sweating, you gain some water inside the muscle because of the pump effect, the metabolic damage inside the muscle, pushing blood into the muscle, so you actually have a better pump then and a better muscle separation, as long as you don't overdo it, obviously. But you can see here, this side chest looks a lot more impressive compared to a side chest you would do without a pump. It looks bigger, looks more voluminous, you see more definition and more striations in the chest, and that is exactly why you should look at yourself with a pump, so you know what to strive for backstage. And it will always be a battle trying to find the right balance in between fullness and conditioning. But the more contests that you do, the better you will be aware of this. So the more you know what you look like in the gym, the better you will become at mimicking that look backstage and on stage. So this is the last chest movement. The cable flies, just 2 simple working sets to isolate the muscle. And when you isolate a muscle, you can really fatigue that muscle without any other muscles helping, which is what it's all about at the end of a workout. So here are some official shots that I did for my coach Stefan Kienzel, or Boss of Outlaw, on Instagram. So I basically record myself, and with a high quality camera you can actually see more details. And then I take screenshots and I send them to him in the morning along with my weight, and then we assess what we need to do. So that's a very, very nice thing to have such an experienced coach.
Okay guys, next one is going to be the side delts. I always like to combine the side delts with the chest, as you guys know, because the front delts are already there. I train them automatically when training the chest. However, the side delts, they get warmed up, they get targeted a little bit, but they don't get finished off. So you never feel side delt muscle ache whenever you train chest, but you do feel the front delts. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna finish off the side delts, 2 working sets with as many reps as possible with just 10 kilos. It's about high volume here. Using a too heavy weight will actually target the traps. We don't want to target those. At least we don't want to make those limiting factor. We want the side delts to grow because they cannot be big enough. Let's go.
Alright, so the side dumbbell lateral raise. Guys, don't just leave this exercise for a shoulder day, because attaching it right after all the chest movements is, in my opinion, the easiest way to up your frequency of hitting the side delts, because they are already warmed up, there's already blood in there, and all you have to do to add some more stimulants to the brain to tell to the side delt, hey, you gotta grow because we're being worked again, is to add it after the chest movements, in between chest and tricep, for example. That to me has worked like a charm to make the side delts grow. I've been doing this for many, many years, and I repeat, I do not train the shoulders on a separate day. Only chest, side delts and triceps, back, rear delts and biceps and legs. And that's it. So that's how I developed the shoulders you see right here. Just 2 working sets, both until failure, with a lightweight, high volume and an intensity technique like this. So this is another one. If you do alternating reps, you can go beyond failure compared to doing this exercise with both arms at the same time, because every time that the left side goes up, the right side can rest, and vice versa, allowing for a bit more energy and oxygen to be regenerated in between the reps, so you can actually do more reps beyond the failure point of before.
Next movement, the triceps, starting out with an easy movement, the rope pushdown, simply one of my favorites. Why? Because I actually have a great mind-muscle connection in the triceps with this exercise, and that is a very big part of bodybuilding. If you don't feel it in the muscle you're working, does it really work that muscle, and does it make that muscle the weakest link, which it has to be in order to hit failure on the muscle you want to work? So I feel this one really well, so let's go to failure on this first working set and then do 2 more working sets on this movement.
Tricep push down time. So my triceps are becoming less and less of a weak point. I do think they will always be, a point of attention in my physique, just like the hamstrings, for example, the glutes, the legs, in general. But if you have a weak point, have to stick to exercises that you get a great connection with, and that you actually feel, and that blood is rushing into that muscle that you want to work. So whenever I do a row push down, I feel the stretch at the top, the contraction and squeeze at the bottom, and that's very important, that squeeze and that mind-muscle connection, because that way you know that the blood is being rushed to the right part of the body, which is the triceps in this case, and the more blood is being rushed there, the more of a pump you get, the more metabolic damage you get, the more progressive overload you get in that muscle versus the least amount of fatigue overall, and that will be the most efficient way to make that muscle grow. So only stick to movements you can actually feel that are injury, risk-free in terms of injury. So the row push down, I mean, who on earth can injure themselves on the row push down? I certainly can't. So after this, unfortunately, my camera died. So this is 3 working sets. And then I also did 3 working sets on the Dumbbell Skullcrushers, because those actually help develop the long head and the medial head a bit more. And this one develops the short head a bit more. It's all about emphasis. So all of those movements work all heads almost equally. But bodybuilding is all about hitting the muscle just a little differently.
Okay guys, that was the workout of the day. I recorded the row push down, but when I did the next and last movement, which was actually a Dumbbell Skullcrushers, the battery of the camera died. So apologies about that, but I did 2 working sets of those to target the medial and the long head of the triceps. Then I did some abs, and then I went to the inversion table, and now it's time for the post-workout meal, which is actually a little bit different from usual. Some of you guys may know, and I want everyone to know, that I'll be having a coach, boss of Outlaw on Instagram, or Stefan Kienzel, which is his name. He is a very smart, good, passionate coach, which I'll be using his expertise and his help, and basically we're working together to bring the best possible shape to the Olympia. So the food has been changed a little bit, but mostly the same. Increasing the carbs to recover from the last shows, to not burn myself out, because that actually was a problem back in the day. But this is what I'll be having post-workout: 100 grams of delicious cereal, basically cereal. So what's important here, post-workout you can actually take up a lot of carbs because you're very insulin sensitive and blood sugar is low. You want to take this 100 grams of high carb, quickly absorbable, low fiber, low fat cereal with 40 grams of whey isolate. I choose Jacked Factory whey isolate, of course, high grass-fed quality whey isolate, which tastes absolutely amazing. I mean, this is a good meal. However, you finish it quite quickly and you're hungry quite quickly after. So 1 hour after this, I'll have a complete meal of 70 grams of rice, 200 grams of white fish and some vegetables. And that's it. And that's the carbs around the training. And after that, I have a couple more meals. But there will be more full days of eating for sure. I just really want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to check out vintagegenetics.com for all your classic bodybuilding clothing. And Jacked Factory by using code Wesley for 20% off all of their supplements. Check down the links down below to make it easier. Anyway guys, thank you again for watching, and don't forget to stay golden.